In this video I'm going to talk about the Maybelline City Bronzer, and my name is Melissa van Dijk and I'm a makeup artist, and I'm going to include a little tutorial for you guys so that you're also able to apply the bronzer in real life so that you can also wear it and have a beautiful look at the end. Plus I'm also going to share my experience and my thoughts on the bronzer that I have, which I wanted to share with you guys as well. So let's start off with the bronzer itself before we are moving on to how you can apply it and use it. So the City Bronzer comes in several shades. You have cool tone shades and also one warm tone shade. So you have light cool, medium cool and deep cool, and you have one warm deep shade. So basically I picked the light cool 100. This is the shade number that it has, and it's pretty light. I have to say it's really nice. But what it also says on the packaging is that you can use it for contour and for bronzing up and sculpting your face. Now, with that being said, if you have a look at the shade, it's brown. It's a nice brown. It's not too orange for the light one. If you're going to a deeper shade, then it also will warm up a bit more. But for the name it has, like this one is the light cool. It doesn't really look cool. It doesn't have a rosy undertone and it also doesn't have a grayish undertone, which means that I personally wouldn't recommend you to use it as a contour shade. I only would recommend you using it as a bronzer just because it will look more natural on yourself. So I also have another bronzer right here which basically claims the same thing. This is the Hoola Bronzer. It's a bit darker than the Maybelline one, and of course the price difference is a main difference. But what I wanted to tell you is that this one also claims that you can do it for contour, like that you use it for contour. But with that being said, this one I also recommend that you're not going to use it for contour, and the same counts for the Maybelline one. So what I just would recommend you is, if you're wearing a bronzer that is definitely more warm toned, like this has a beautiful brownish tone, it's not too orange, but it's also like it's a neutral tone, it's alright, but I definitely wouldn't go out and contour my face with it. This is just my recommendation to you. So let's start off with first how you can apply it. So first, for the brush that I'm going to use is a smaller, fluffier brush, but you also could go ahead and use a bigger brush. So something like this. So it depends on how you personally feel the best. If you want to have a bit more control, then I definitely would recommend going in with a smaller brush so that you can control where you're going to apply it. If you have a larger face and you want to sculpt it a little bit like everywhere on top of the cheeks and forehead, then you can also go in with a bigger brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to put my hair back, and then we can start off with the cheek area first. So now my hair is out of my way, which is always really important if you want to start off with. Now, one thing that I noticed is that this bronzer doesn't come with a mirror, which is a bit sad. Like this reflection right here could be a mirror, but I'm not going to use it because it doesn't make any sense. So it's a bit sad, so I'm going to use my own hand mirror. And what I also wanted to share with you guys, as we all know, Maybelline is a drugstore product, which means that you can get it under $10 at the drugstore, so it's very affordable. So I'm going to use this brush and I'm going to start off with the cheek area. So I'm going to take my hand mirror. So what you want to make sure is that you're not going to load your brush with too much product. So if you're going to dig into it once or twice, then just make sure that you're tapping off the excess, so that you're just making sure that you're not loading the brush with too much product, because it's always good to build up rather than having too much product on your brush and you can't blend it, because this is where blending gets a bit tricky if the brush has too much powder on it. So I'm going to start off with the cheek area. So what they do recommend on the packaging is that you can use it also for under your cheekbone area right here. But this would be contouring, which I wouldn't recommend doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with bronzing. I'm going to start off with on top of my cheekbones. Now I definitely would say that because I picked the lightest shade, it also will go if you're a bit paler than I am. I mean, I'm pretty pale, but I know that there are people that are a bit whiter than I am. So I definitely would recommend going in with the light shade if you're lighter than me. If you are darker than me, then they have also several other shades which will work beautifully as well. So I'm going to use circular motions, and I'm going to start off with a little bit first. And then I'm going to move on to my forehead as well. And I'm not going to use it as contouring, so I'm just going to use the areas where the sun naturally would hit my face and where we'll get a bit bronze, which is mainly the forehead and cheekbone area. So you won't find it on your jawline, and also a bit on the nose area. So I'm going to start off very slowly and also little by little, just to make sure that I'm having most of the control of the product and also how I'm going to apply it. And just keep in mind that I'm not going to put like a ton of product on my face, because I still wanted to like show you how you can apply the product in real life and not just for the camera, which is really important because this makes a difference. I'm just keeping it with circular motions. Now, with this being said, the bronzer has a bit of a scent, like it's not really a strong fragrance, but you will find that there's a little bit of perfume in it. If you're very sensitive against it, then I wouldn't recommend you this bronzer, but it's definitely not too strong, so you won't smell it on your face. You only can smell it if you're just smelling it from the packaging itself. So I just wanted to point this out as well. Now, keeping the circular motions and keeping on blending. And then later on, you just can go from your forehead area, like along your temples and also your cheekbone area. And I'm just going to repeat the same on the other side, keeping the circular motions. And then I also just wanted to check in the viewfinder how it looks on the camera, because I still want to make sure that you're able to see the product, even though I'm going to apply it very light-handed, but you still should see how the product performs. And when it comes to the texture, it's a powder product, which means that you should set your face at first with powder or setting spray so that it's basically locked in, and then you can go on top with any powder product. So I'm just going to do the same on the other side of my forehead. I'm going to blend it and keeping the circular motions, and also along my temples, because this is the area where the sun would naturally hit us. When it comes to the nose area, I just like to dig into it like 1 or 2 times, not too strong, and I'm just going to put it basically a little bit on top of it, just to bronze my nose area as well, so that it will like have a beautiful combination of bronzer, because this is just how we naturally see another person if they are going into the sun. So I'm just checking in the viewfinder how it looks. I mean, you still can see the product right here, that it's going to emphasize and also warm up my face, even though it's a cool toned bronzer, which for me doesn't make sense. I just feel like that if you say that the bronzer is cool toned, then it's not a bronzer, just because you're naturally getting bronze, and it definitely will show off as a bit more olivey or orangey or like a very beautiful brown, but never in a grayish tone and also never in a rosy tone. So I definitely just find that the name of a cool bronzer is wrong, but this is just how I feel about the product and also how they like name a product. So when it comes to my forehead area, I just wanted to go into it a bit more right here, and also on the other side as well. But I mean, this is what I mean. If you're going to use little by little, like the bronzer, just tiny little steps, then you're also able to control the blending, and you won't mess it up, and it also won't look like dirt on your face, which can also be a very big problem. Now, if you're the type of person that still feels that you can't really find a bronzer because it's always too orange for your skin, then try out the Maybelline City Bronzer, because it has definitely not a strong orangey tone into it. I mean, as you can see now on my whole face, once I have blended everything beautifully together, it definitely looks like not orange on my face. It also doesn't look like very bronze and solarium bronze on my face, which is good. So in this case, I would say it's a different type of bronzer, like not really cool toned, but it isn't as orange. So if you always have trouble to find a good bronzer, try it with the Maybelline City Bronzer, because it's definitely like it doesn't have the orange tone into it. Like what I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch it just that you will see how it performs. It's definitely not like, it has just a beautiful brownish tone, like you won't even see it on my hand. That's how good the match is basically with the light bronzer. Like when it comes to the shade itself. Now if I would go into a darker shade, it definitely would show up as a bit of an orangey bronzer, just because I'm a little bit paler for the medium one. Like I'm just going to compare it now to the Hoola one, if I'm going to put them next to each other. So this is now the City Bronzer by Maybelline, and this is now the Hoola Bronzer. And I'm using the light version with the Maybelline one. With the Hoola Bronzer, I'm just using the original Hoola Bronzer. I just know that they have also a lighter shade, but this is just the original Hoola Bronzer, so keep this in mind. But you definitely will see the difference. This one is way softer, so if you're paler in your face, it's definitely working beautifully together. If you have a bit of a foundation going on, or CC, BB cream, whatsoever, it just will work beautifully together, and you do not have to load it too much. So for me personally, I just know that this is a beautiful shade, and it's also a beautiful light shade. Now, when it comes to my last thoughts that I wanted to share with you guys, when it comes to the City Bronzer by Maybelline, I definitely like that they have like basically 4 different shades. They have cool tone shades and also 1 warm tone shade. If you're getting deeper in your skin tone, then you definitely also want to go in with a deeper shade, of course. But I also do like that the light version is definitely light, and it's not too orange, and it also works beautifully for my skin tone as well. And I definitely would say that if you're lighter, as I already mentioned, go for it. Now, I personally really like it. I don't mind the fragrance, and I also like it to use it as a bronzer. As I said, I'm not going to use it as a contour, and I also wouldn't recommend it to you. So basically just use it very light-handed, and also check in the mirror how you like it. And also with the application, use circular motions and you're good to go. It's easy to apply, it's easy to blend, it has a beautiful shade, well, the ones that I've picked, and it just works beautifully for me, and I definitely like continue using it, and I also would recommend it for you guys as well, as it's also very affordable, and you can't really go wrong with it as it isn't as orange. So this is definitely what I wanted to share with you guys, and I hope you can pick up the information and also know how you can also apply the bronzer, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye!